So it thunderstormed on our practice tonight, so I decided to make a video for you guys. So this is our first section. So I decided to challenge myself by going over this rock instead of to the left of it. Made this corner easier, but sometimes I did go too fast and almost get through the line there. This area I did cut too early on one of my loops and got myself wedged between those two large logs. I did like the challenge of getting through these tighter sections. They were basically handlebar width, and then up here just kind of weaving around the rocks, and I'm just kind of glad I didn't have to turn in and go over those rocks. This one was my only clean for that section. This section, it has you go along this hill. I could have gone to the right and gone down those logs, but decided to take the easier part of the hill. Didn't really challenge myself there, but this part was a little challenging because you kind of had to weave tightly through these little saplings, and then you had to turn and go over these double logs, which I struggled with. I always got too much speed or plowed into the first log. That one was my only clean for that section. This is another view, a third-person view of the same section. This was earlier in the day, so you'll see me go down and come back around. And I do get over both of these logs, but you'll see that I get a really big wheelie over the very first one, and then I had no time to plan over the second one, and I actually went over to the intermediate section of it instead of the novice area. This one kind of went to the left, and then you went over some logs. Made sure you didn't hit that stake right there, and you went down the side of the hill here around the tree, and I really struggled with micro-focusing in this debris right here, and I put my foot down a few times. That was my only, well, not my only point, but one of my only points for my last loop. This one was an easier section. I decided to go down the hill, kind of go back up and go around the fallen log, and go back down the hill to the left instead of straight up the hill. There's some holes in the top of the hill I wanted to avoid. The only thing was I kind of got slow there sometimes, and had to make sure that I kind of just focused on my cornering. Here's a third person of the same section. The person down in the red there is one of the only other women that rides in our group. She's also a novice, and she is doing phenomenal. She got second or third in this event. So this is my nemesis of the trial. I only seem to have one. So I got over this log, and then I always got so micro-focused on making sure I had plenty of room for the second log that I get so slow. So there I put my foot down, and this one I got over the log and went to the left, but there was one time that I actually totally forgot to go to the left. Got up that hill on that one, and went down this rock, and this part I actually enjoyed because it was a tight corner, and we had been practicing corners, and it was something I was able to do, even though it was a challenge. So here's a third person of the same section. You'll see that me really focusing way too much and going to the left and getting really slow, worrying about getting out of the section there, and then I actually got over the log this time, but I plowed into it. So you see I got a really big wheelie and then get my rear tire over, and I do go to the left. There was that time that I certainly didn't, and really made it the next log really hard. So I get up this log, that log, and I just kind of paw my way up the hill, and there's a lot of dips and crevices in that hill, so it's not smooth, but I just didn't have my balance. So I was able to do the rest of the section really well, and I never really struggled on the corner, so I think it was just really a confidence thing, because logs still are something I need to work on. So this section right here is a full log section. The first loop we went through, it was totally wet and really struggled. Surprisingly, these first 3 logs were the hardest part for me, because I had to lift my front end. I couldn't just roll over them. And then I challenged myself by going over this big log instead of around it, and it paid off every time, but you know, being a double log in a row, I struggled some of it, but it was nice to be able to challenge myself but also have it pay off. this was one of the loops that I didn't take any points in that section. So this section was one of the easiest sections, which was really nice because I could always use an easy section. So we just went down the hill, kind of went around a little bit, and then we just go back up the hill. For some reason, it always rained in this section, so you'll see it kind of raining there. Here's Sean getting me as a third person view of it. So you kind of see the steepness of the hill, and it definitely would have been a lot more challenge if it had rained a lot more. It had rained the night before, but not really during the event. Alright, so in this section, it was up a hill again. Had to make sure once you get to the top that you were careful and weren't being sloppy because there's some logs up here and just loose roots. So once you weaved yourself on the top of the hill, I could have gone down to the left, but I decided to go over the log and give myself a challenge. So it was nice to challenge myself there. Here's a third person view of it, and you can see that it had just finished raining or was currently raining. So I'm going on the top of the hill, and then you can kind of see the drop off with the log. I was kind of worrying at first, like could I keep my front end up, but it wasn't a problem at all actually. So this section, you kind of just went to the left here. I wanted to make the left-hand corner really easy, so I tried going to the right of that tree, but I kept going out of bounds and actually got a log stuck in my wheel one time. So I made the corner tighter and actually paid off in that section. This is our last section, so you go over some logs here, and again, like the earlier section, you just kind of had to pay attention to make sure you weren't being sloppy because there's rocks in the grass, and you had to go over this hill here. I could have gone to the right and over the bigger part of the cement, but decided not to challenge myself because this is one of the only sections I had cleaned all day. And then at the end I decided to challenge myself to go over those rocks because I figured it would go ride like a hill, and it did. I wanted to do it during the section, but it was nice to be able to play a little bit afterwards and actually have energy to do that because it wasn't a bad day at all. So that's my video, so thanks for watching. Catch you next time.